Whenever you're ready, Mayor.
Okay. This meeting is called to order. City of Gold Hill City Council, August 2nd, 2021.
I'll do the roll call.
Let's do the roll call.
Mayor Studebaker.
Present.
Councilor Bescheid.
Here.
Councilor Hinckley.
Here.
Councilor Rigney.
Here.
Councilor Palmer.
Here.
Councilor Wilson.
Here.
Councilor Gina.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay, very good. Any public input?
First, we do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, yeah. I pledge allegiance. Oops. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, Mayor, you just got unofficially elected to do the pledge every meeting.
It's all right. Okay,
All right.
now public input.
Yes, indeed, we do have public input. I believe Carol is here. Okay. Carol? Are you there, Carol? Okay, she must still be on break.
Mute. There we
Oh.
go. Am I unmuted now?
Yes, you are unmuted now. Hey, Carol, if you want to state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Carol Holm, 1212 2nd Avenue, Gold Hill, Oregon. You guys will be tired of me before the evening's over. But anyway, okay. So I just wanted to give you an update on the Blue Bag Brigade. And since I was involved in the council meeting tonight, I might as well share a few things with you. I just wanted to, we're still collecting lots of bottles and cans, and we're at $4,500 now in our account. So we are rocking and rolling. And then what follows that is that all of that is for doing Christmas things in Gold Hill. So we're going to get started at the end of August, on August the 26th, Thursday, the 26th of August from 6 to 8 at the library. We're going to have a community meeting to discuss Christmas for Gold Hill and what it might look like, the things that we have done in the past that need some upgrading or replacement of pieces or whatever, and then get some new ideas from community members to see if there are other things that we want to do, and so we can make Christmas even bigger and better and merrier and brighter in Gold Hill. So that's it for now. Are there any questions?
Carol, is there a way that people might submit questions or suggestions to the committee if they can't show up, or especially with the pandemic and not knowing masking, group numbers, things like that? If they have an idea or anything that they want to submit, is there a way to contact you guys?
Well, in the newsletter, in the article, I put that, you know, we're always looking for more help, and people could contact myself or Jessica. Did you leave that in there, Jessica?
Good.
Yeah, so they can contact me or Jessica or I, and we'd be more than happy to take any suggestions. So, because I know there's just many things that we can do. So, yeah.
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going away.
See you again in a bit. We don't have any further public input, but I did notice our intent to file application for federal assistance, and this would be the time if any of the members of the public wanted to speak about that. No one has any comment about that, but we are indeed in the process of applying for a grant that is going to help us do the repairs at the intake plant. So I just want to get that on the record. This is the meeting where the public could have said something if they'd wanted to.
Did Derek ever come back? It's the public person.
Yeah, they're all just waiting their turn. Mayor, back to you.
Are we hearing the next public input person?
There is no further public input.
Oh.
Everyone else that's here is on the agenda.
Got it. Okay. Okay, council considerations, item 7. 7.1, event request for the sports park. Carol Home with the Gold Hill get together.
We should have just not let her leave.
I wonder if she knows her camera was off. Because it was on earlier. So.
Oh. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Well, okay. So I just wanted to come to the council and present the idea that we've come up with. Can-Do is sponsoring the event. This is the brainchild of Ken Renzi, Carol Holm, and Susie Schoonover at a Starbucks in Medford one day. So the idea was to see if we could get a concert in a park somewhere before the end of summer or before the rain and the snow flew. Hopefully it'll do that again. But we came up with the idea of having a concert, and Ken Renzi, of course, he is a musician. He plays the guitar, and so I was happy to talk to him with Susie that one morning, and so I said, well, if we're going to have a concert, we have to have musicians. And he said, well, he had just the group for us. And so he invited Susie and I to join the group down at the Rock Point RV Park on a Tuesday morning. And so we went down there and listened. And this group of musicians, if you don't know, they play every Tuesday morning from 10 to 12. And they all bring their guitar instruments, and there are many different stringed instruments, and they play all kinds of music, and most of them I know, so I think they're great. So anyway, so we thought that they might be just what we're looking for to provide a family-oriented free concert in Gold Hill for the citizens of Gold Hill mainly, although people from the surrounding area can come and join us. We're going to do it in the sports park. The only downside to doing it there so far is that we don't have green grass, but we're going to persevere, and people can bring their blankets and chairs, and we're going to congregate in the area between where the horseshoe pits are, and between there and the picnic area, the gazebo area. And we chose that space because, for one, there's shade, and it's more confined, so I think it might be easier to control the people if that's needed. Hopefully it won't be, but anyway, it's just a nice, it's enough room, we think. Who knows how many people will show up, but we think it'll be roomy enough. And given the COVID things, who knows? But if there are COVID things, maybe we'll just have to spread people out and go by whatever the guidelines are then. This is on September the 11th. which is a important day. We didn't choose it for that reason, but it happens that we did land on September 11th. It's from 4 to 8 in the evening. 4 o'clock, we're going to have food vendors, and then we're going to have craft vendors. And so people can come and eat and look around. The musicians would start at 5 o'clock. They don't have a name, so we call them the Rock Point RV Park Acoustic Musicians. And like I said, they're great. There is electricity available in the picnic area, and we scouted out the parking. There's parking in the sports park, by the boat ramp, and in the Little League parking lot. We will have parking attendants directing traffic, and we have security provided by Wise Security Solutions. I'm negotiating with Fire District 3 and to be in attendance for partnership, because they've been working a lot with the city and the citizens here. So it'd be nice to have them as a presence. I'm hoping that they would be able to provide some first aid along with that. And I have secured insurance in the amount of $2 million through Event Helper with the city as additional insured. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. I've talked money with Jessica, and we have a deal on the fee and the parking. And so hopefully we can pull this off. We hope it's just, a casual, free, family-oriented outing, and that people will come and enjoy food, arts, and some music.
Just so the council is aware, I did clear this with Kristen, our insurance agent, and she recommended what they should do for their insurance. And so they've got the whole event's covered by insurance. And I believe, I don't know if she mentioned that they are going to have some off-duty security. I guess they'll be on duty while they're there. But yeah, so everything's square as far as this event happening in the park.
Well done.
Oh, thank you. So,
Yeah, this is a great idea, Carol. Thank you so much for you guys at Can Do working on this. This is awesome. Thank you.
thank you.
It's needed and will be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I'm just hoping it's the first of many, and that it won't, I'm hoping Can Do gave us a little money, and I'm working with an event planner. And in fact, the kid who wrote you guys the letter that was read at your council meeting, I thought, well, this would be a perfect opportunity to see what he can do. And so we're working with him, and so we'll see what happens. And so I just think we have some great spaces here. The school was another consideration, but who knows what schools are going to be doing in September. So we just settled at the sports park, and it'll be what it is, and we'll just go from there. So yeah, so I hope you'll all be able to join us.
Good deal.
Thanks. I'm going to mute myself now, and you won't
Thank
hear
you,
from me again. Sorry.
Bye, Carol. Thank you.
All right, Carol. Good night.
Anyone else commenting on Carol's proposal?
I like the idea of outdoor events. I think that's a way to get back to normal without just jumping right back into indoor venues. I think we have beautiful parks, and I think this is an opportunity to showcase them. And I think it's a way to get the community back to normal.
I agree.
Agreed.
And Brad, we have a mutual friend, Jim, who's very, very much interested, very concerned citizen, young man, father, and he's got lots of excellent plans that I'll be sharing with the council as far as events and things just like this. He's very, very much into doing it, and has a lot of good resources to be able to back it up too. So I will be letting you know further, Jessica, Danielle, Ara, excuse me, Brad. I'll be letting you guys know what the agenda is. I'll be talking to Jim here pretty soon, so I'll let you know how that's going to go on a counselor report.
Great. So the person Bill's referring to is, I think a couple of years here in town, has a place on the river, was very concerned about the fire risk, and we were talking to him about that. And he was saying how it really would be nice to have community get-togethers and this sort of thing. So I think it's pretty organic, bubbling up all over, and this will be great. Appreciate that, Carol.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we have 3 different people on the agenda tonight to talk to you about events in the park. So
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Okay, 712, Richard Hart and the Car Show.
So Richard is actually here with me. He's going to take my seat to talk to you.
Great.
Good evening. I was approached from a lady who works for the Veterans Administration, and as part of their outreach program for suicide prevention, they have found that they can reach more veterans by having car shows than having open houses where veterans are invited to come talk about their troubles. And I was talking to her about our venue, and that we had, because of COVID, discussed at one time having a car show along the bike path where cars could be spread out and create a safe environment. It's a little late to make this happen this year, as they've already got their schedule set, but I was going to meet with her later this week in reference to possibly getting on the calendar for this coming year. So that was one of the things on the agenda that I wanted to talk to you about. The other one I brought up several times, and I've never been able to get anyone to give me a yes or a no, or if you hate the idea or whatever, is the idea of having fireworks during New Year's at the beach area in town. And this town, unfortunately, gathers a large amount of unauthorized fireworks at that time anyway. And so it's almost become a ritual in this town to celebrate New Year's with fireworks. I just was wondering if there was a way to legitimize that. I know that the city of Central Point and the city of Medford at times have had fireworks shows that they either sponsored or gave the go-ahead to have in their areas. I just kind of want to put some outreach in there and see if there's someone who would come forward with money to finance that. But I didn't want to start if there's going to be a large opposition. And so that's why I wanted to bring that up at this time.
So I think the first step in the fireworks negotiation has to be with contacting Kristen Wick, who is our insurance representative, and understanding the liability of having a city-sponsored fireworks event. And that would give us at least a price range of what we'd be looking at as far as the insurance, and then finding a vendor, and then maybe we can do a different event to raise money for that.
Yeah, and that was some of the other things that I had coming up was potential times for creating revenue through the parks, through some of the things like the car show and stuff. Of course, that would help to fund the suicide prevention, but there's a way to have a percentage go to the parks too. There's a lot of different things. I know when Medford does their car shows during the cruise, there's actually 7 days of different events, and it creates a lot of area for them to collect money on many different fronts to go to many different charities. Like I said, these things that I'm bringing up are long-term. We're looking out there, 9 months, almost a year from now. But I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys as to if these are acceptable ideas, because we are trying to get back to normal, and we do need to get people into our parks and try and get funding into our parks. So like I said, it's a great time to showcase the work we've already done. And by this time next year, we should have a lot more work done. Anything else?
So Richard, let's start.
What was that?
Let's start with the car show idea. I think
Yeah.
that's a really, really smart way to tap into outreach for vet programs. Do you have more details on when you'd like this to happen?
She was discussing with them, they were already working on their schedule for this coming up year. And she was meeting with them this week. I was hoping to meet with her by maybe next weekend and see which weekends of next summer. Like I said, they're active all throughout the whole region of the state, from the coast all the way to Bend and down. And so they have each weekend or every other weekend, they're in a different location with their booth for the veterans. But they're working hand in hand with these car clubs in getting this together. And there's one major car club that actually has 26 small car clubs that all go through them. And this one bigger car club is who sets the dates. And so that's what I would be looking at first, is seeing if I could get a date with them and then bringing that back to you as we check over insurance and other things that would have to be done.
Okay. Maybe we,
Sorry, Richard, as far as the car show, you might want to check with Can Do whether or not they're looking at bringing back Gold Dust Days next year, because I know that they do a car show at Gold Dust Days. And if we try to coordinate those two things together, you might get a bigger crowd even at Gold Dust Days.
I would like to see something 3 times bigger than Gold Dust Days just as a car show. So this something much bigger. I'm thinking much bigger. So.
but a call to Mary Mickelson would be a good idea to see where they're standing on Gold Dust Days.
Yeah.
So council, why don't you weigh in? What is our feeling? Would this be a good thing to bring some people into town next summer for a designated day of a car show?
Absolutely.
I'm not a car girl, but I know they're popular. So yeah, I say go ahead.
I'm for it.
Whatever we can do to get people into town, I think it's a great idea. And to, especially, you know, with all the work that Richard and the Parks Committee's been doing on the park, it would be nice to be able to have a goal for next year, having an event, you know, to showcase the park. That'd be really cool.
Agreed.
Thank you. I appreciate all of your input and look forward to talking to you more soon. Thank you.
So you have our blessing, Richard, for the car show.
Thanks.
We look forward to getting some more details. And then on the New Year's fireworks, I think this is a great idea. You know, we caught some heat for banning fireworks this 4th of July, but it seemed like the prudent and obvious thing to do. But I do think it's nice if we give them a venue to use their fireworks. Some of them probably spent a few $100s or more to get fireworks. And I think with snow or rain all around, Richard, I would think maybe you want to check with Fire District 3, get their blessings, see what guidelines they have.
I know that in the down towards Del Rio, there was a gentleman who actually used to do the pyrotechnics for the county when they had him in Central Point. And I was going to try and find if someone knew who he was, that we could maybe pick his brain and find out what the laws are and how to go about something like that.
Good.
So
In general, do we have opposition, or do we think this is a good idea?
I have a question for clarification. Are we talking about providing a place where citizens can come and shoot off their own fireworks? Or are you talking about having a real, you know, fireworks program?
a
That
little
somebody-
each, actually, for people that have fireworks laying around, it'd be a good way and a good time to get rid of them when it's fire safe, so that they don't save until spring or summer and set them off in a time that's much worse. But yeah, I think that having a very small, just a few minute long deal at midnight. I mean, it's midnight. You don't want to wake up the whole world, but shooting off a few things might be a good way to bring people into our community and not allow it to get too far out of hand, because it is a short-lived deal, you know. I said everyone loves going somewhere on New Year's, and why not be us and have everyone leave a few dollars here?
I think it might actually be a good idea to see whether or not vendors would like to come, maybe start a little bit earlier in the evening rather than just at midnight. And then that way we're not necessarily waking people up at midnight, and, you know, come out for dinner, see a show, see your neighbors. I would really like to see something like that on New Year here in Gold Hill.
Yeah, it's an interesting time of the year to try and throw something, but why not?
So I have another just thought, you know, if we're gonna have a venue where you're gonna do someone actual do a presentation of fireworks, a pyrotechnics person, and have people sitting, you know, in blankets and stuff down on the beach, that's really awesome. But if you do that, I think we should provide a separate place for people to shoot off fireworks, not right there where you have a bunch of people with
Yeah.
kids and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of up by the post office where they
Yeah.
normally do it on 4th
Right.
of July.
I don't think the two mix very well, but I'd like to see both happen, you know, and I
They
think,
don't mix well. I grew up on the beach in Santa Cruz on 4th of July and it gets too chaotic.
yeah, totally. That's my concern. So if you're going to allow both, you need to be really clear on what happens where. So,
Okay.
I know one of the things I've always thought about with Gold Dust Days is that we restrict it to too tight of an area rather than allowing it to spread out kind of organically in town. So I think having an area designated for personal fireworks, an area designated for, say, event foods, things like that, and having it all over town, I think would be really nice.
Oh, good. I
Where people
like the
run.
input.
Yeah.
Sounds like everyone wants something to happen. Well, thank you once again for your time. God bless you and have a nice evening.
All right, Rich.
Back to the,
Thanks, Richard.
those in charge.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Okay, any other thoughts there? Okay. 713, Richard Barney, Bikes and Brews Rest Stop.
Yes, please bring Derek in. Hi, Derek, if you can hear me whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I had my computer video working and it's decided not to. Hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me here. I'm representing Bikes and Brews, and we are bringing our 65-mile route through Gold Hill and hoping to stop at the park of the waterfall I can't name, Tillamook, something like that. Tillamook. Okay. There is a small gravel parking lot there, and we are hoping to set up a couple of tents. It'll be basically a relief station for the riders, for the long distance riders. And so I just wanted to talk to you about what was required of us for that, and if we would be welcome to that. It'll be October 16th. That's a Saturday. And yeah, what can I answer for you?
Yeah, so when they originally approached, they wanted to know about the little tiny strip that we own next to Figaro's. Then I showed them what that actually consisted of. So then we talked about the gazebo across the street next to the entrance to the beach park. And they recently came through to scope out the route, and they realized that the Tillamook Falls parking lot is also on their route, and it's way off of the main drag. So it seems like a much better place for them to have their hydration stop. So I didn't see any problem with it, but I wanted to make sure that it was okay with you before I told them they could put their tent there.
Derek, how many riders are you figuring on?
Well, that's a good question. We have only 8 signed up now. We're hoping for more than that. Could be no more, I would think, than maybe 25. But this is the first year we're doing this ride, and it's really hard to say. Like I said, I don't expect more than 25, maybe 30, but that's, you know, we'd like to have more than that. But it's the long distance ride, and there are a whole lot of people who would want to do it. 66 miles. So yeah, that's what we're hoping to get at least 20, 25. We can certainly keep you updated on that.
And I did see that you guys would be responsible for trash cleanup and all of that, so that you wouldn't need that provided from the city, correct?
That's correct. We'll practice leave no trace as best as we can.
Where does the route begin and end?
It starts in downtown Medford, just off of Barnett Street, and it's a big loop. It'll end there. It
Mhm.
starts there, goes down the Greenway, and then we will cut off at the Railroad Park, go up back into Central Point, South Stage, or rather Stage Road, and then cut over. I've got it on here. Anyway, it follows that route and then comes over the Gold Hill Bridge. And then we
And
will
then
get
out,
onto
then out
Greenway.
Highway 234.
Correct. Then we'll dump out onto 234 and loop around in there along Modoc, Table Rock. I'm able to see it now. And it does kind of a loop there. It will continue then over to Dodge Road, and then down Agate Road, and we'll cut then in and just do a big loop back through that way down East Gregory, and then
Back to
Newfound. Mhm.
Barnett,
I can
yeah.
send you a ride with GPS link if you like.
Sure. Where does the brew aspect come into play?
It's the Brew Fest, the Medford Brew Fest. We're tying in with their event that's happening that same weekend.
Okay.
Derek, these are bicycles, not motorcycles, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And you won't be drinking and driving them.
No, that won't be happening.
Not too many times anyway.
Right.
So you probably don't want us to put up a brew truck or something in the parking lot for your riders.
No, they probably won't want to do that just then. But if you want to participate somehow in downtown Medford, you can talk to Richard about that.
Is there anything, Derek, that you would need from the city or that you would like to request from the city for this event?
No, I was asking Richard about that, but we have our tables and tents, and we're pretty much self-contained. Yeah, we aren't going to be putting any markings on the pathway or request anything like that. We have volunteers that'll be helping out, just guide the riders. We don't need power. I was curious if there was a fee for using the space, and we can provide proof of insurance if that's something. We're also bringing in porta potties. They will arrive early and then be brought out once we've determined that everybody's gone. So the tables will be ready to go at 8 a.m. We don't expect the riders to show up till about 9:30 or 10.
I know we do have park usage fees. I'm not sure about insurance since they're going to be on a public highway, right, Jessica?
No, but if he wants to provide us his certificate of insurance, I'll be happy to take it.
Okay. All right. I'll have to get that from Richard and have him send it over.
Well,
I
thanks for
don't think that we really need to
for
charge
it.
a fee to use the parking lot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no parking fee at that parking lot anyway. So I don't see that we would charge you a fee.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, we'll have Richard send that certificate over to you. But yeah, it's just a 1-day thing. We'll be setting up about, like I said, about 8 o'clock and probably be out of there by 3, I think. Most of the riders we expect to be through there by 10. So it could even be like noon.
We're happy that you thought of us and including us in your route and in your event.
Well, thanks. I wrote it with Richard a couple of weeks ago, and we moved from that original idea of just after the bridge when we thought, well, let's ride down your nice pathway there. So that we're guiding the riders to get on that path right after the railroad track crossing. And so it's a really nice little path to follow along through there. And then that quick access onto 234 right after that lot. Yeah, but thanks. And I'll keep you updated on the amount of riders and and also get the insurance document.
Thanks, Richard.
And Jessica, do we want to put a notice in the water bill about just that parking lot's going to be being used that day so that nobody expects to go over there and, tries to pull into the area?
Yeah, we could probably do that.
And,
You said
and
that was
maybe,
October 16th, right?
Yes, that's correct.
maybe you should also put in there that they will be using that short section of the bike path, you know, for those
Right.
morning hours, sometime between 8 and noon, you know. Doesn't sound like there's gonna be a lot of people, but there are people that, you know, do their regular dog walks at that time. They might wanna
Yeah. Is it
reconsider.
is it a timed race? Like, are people going to be biking as fast as they can so they can win
No,
first prize?
well, it's a ride, not a race, is what we like to say. So it's not timed. These are the distance riders, and they do tend to be more competitive, but they will be respectable on the pathway. They will probably be going as fast as they can on the highway, though, on the back roads.
Yeah,
Okay,
just so
fair
that you let them know that there are often older people, people with dogs, stuff like that on that path at that time.
Indeed, and yeah, they are Greenway experienced riders too, so they do encounter. They're aware of that sort of multi-use path.
Good.
Well, I'm sorry my video didn't work. It was testing and working and everything, and then when moment of truth, it doesn't work. So sorry I couldn't be more present in that way. But thanks for the time with all of you and for allowing us to use the space. We're looking forward to a good day and a lot of riders.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Derek.
Okay. 7.2, letter to ODOT regarding our South Bridge coming into town.
Sure. As you know, Councilor Bescheid asked me to draft this letter a while back, and I was a procrastinator, but I finally got it done, so I thought I would share it with you before I send it to ODOT tomorrow. So, yeah, it's addressed to the manager of ODOT in our regional area. Mr. Anderson, the city of Gold Hill would like to bring your attention to the condition of the bridge on the south end of town. As it was built a long time ago, it is very narrow and not safe for larger vehicles to traverse. This is a huge barrier to the residents of the city as it deprives our low-income and disabled citizens access to public transportation. The transit routes in our valley simply will not come to Gold Hill because of this bridge. In addition, due to the recent fires, we are all extremely aware of the importance of emergency services being able to reach our homes. I understand that Fire District 3 also has concerns about this bridge. I can see their concerns as their Gold Hill Fire Station is on the other side of the bridge from our town. When the freeway was diverted during the Almeida fire, traffic came to a standstill on that bridge. There is no way a fire truck would have been able to cross that bridge and come to our rescue had we suffered a fire at the same time. Our citizens deserve the same access to public transportation and the same level of protection from our emergency responders that is freely available in other parts of the Rogue Valley. We ask that you consider diverting resources towards eliminating this problem by upgrading or replacing this narrow bridge. So there you have it, the letter.
And that, just as a reminder, in case you don't remember the context, that request for that letter came from my participation in the RV Act committee. And there was discussion about how there's, you know, the new infrastructure funding coming along. They're actually looking for projects. And one of the criteria is equity. They're looking for projects that correct equity issues, whether it's income equity or whatever kinds of issues. So that's just as a reminder where that the request for the letter came from.
I've always had a problem with that bridge. That bridge is far too narrow. I drive a Mini, and if there's a delivery truck coming, going the opposite way, I have to like move all the way over in a Mini. I can only imagine if two trucks are trying to pass each other on that bridge. It's far too narrow.
So I will be sending that letter tomorrow.
Jessica, I might suggest one edit on
Sure.
the first paragraph, the last sentence. We might make that a little more specific. We have an RVTD person here in the council chambers, and they refuse to come across the bridge because of the safety. Maybe we can say, instead of the transit routes in our valley simply will not come, we can more concisely state RVTD refuses to come, or simply will not come.
Name them instead of just being vague about it. I got what you're saying. Okay.
Because that was out of their words. They will not do it. And boy, what a great argument. And again, with the money that's flowing in this current environment, what a great time to have us upgrade that bridge.
It was a well-written letter. Thank you, Jessica.
You, Councilor Palmer.
Well stated.
Any other comments on the bridge?
Let's get on to the juicy stuff.
Okay, now the really good stuff. Park host position. R3, Resolution 21R11, creating a park host position. Jessica?
Yeah, so these next three things all tie together. What's going on is, as you all know, we budgeted for a park host and we want to make that start happening, but we still haven't hammered out all the details of what that position entails and how the contract is going to work. And in fact, our current code book says it's illegal to camp in the park. So with that in mind, I have drafted a resolution here that creates the position. The ordinance 9/2410 that says it's illegal to camp also says that the mayor can make it legal by declaration. So I've created this resolution which creates the position as it was recommended in our Parks and Master Plan, and it recognizes that the ordinance needs to be modified. So I've also drafted an ordinance so that we can fix that part of the code book that says it's illegal, making it legal for a park host to camp in the park. And if you're okay with that, then we'll move on the first reading of that tonight. And then the last things I've created are the park host contract and an application for them. I took this very liberally from the Jackson County's forms for their park host and modified it to meet our city's needs. So yeah, well, first let's start with the resolution and create the position. So I'm going to read the resolution onto the record, and then if someone, well, if you want to discuss any changes to it, otherwise someone can make a motion to approve the resolution. Resolution 21R11 is a resolution of the City of Gold Hill creating a park host position. Whereas the City of Gold Hill adopted a Parks and Open Space Master Plan on May 18th, 2015, and whereas within said master plan, it was agreed that the City of Gold Hill Parks has safety and security needs. And whereas also within said master plan, a park host residing in the sports park was determined to be a safety and security goal. Now therefore be it resolved, the City of Gold Hill will create the position of park host, a voluntary position with no salary or other compensation. The position will be on an annual contract basis, and both returning and new hosts must fill out and return an application each year. The job description and application process are to be approved by the City Council and may be modified from time to time. The City of Gold Hill Council recognizes that Ordinance 9/2410 currently makes it illegal to camp in the park, and it is resolved that the next step will be to introduce a new section of Chapter 9 making an exception to this rule for the park host position. Until said ordinance is passed, camping by the park host shall be made legal by declaration of the mayor, as also described in Ordinance 9/2410. Straight to the point, that's how I do it.
Motion to approve Resolution 21R11.
Can we have discussion first?
Sorry. Yes, we can.
So I have a number of residents that are concerned with the way that the park host area is being set up. They do not like that it's attached to the vault toilets. They do not like that it is not a separate area. They believe that it looks sketchy and that it looks dangerous. They're concerned about an RV being parked next to toilets, and they're not able to identify who is in there, and it's going to be different people every year. We are on I-5, which is a sex trafficking corridor, and they're concerned about their kids in a park with an RV next to toilets. They're also concerned about public utilities being used out of that vault toilet, as that vault toilet hasn't really been rated for RV electricity or sewage clean out. So they're wondering why we aren't setting up a separate section for the park host.
Well, so we did talk to the people who clean out the vault toilets, and they said it was totally fine for us to set it up this way. I'm in the process of talking to the people who make all of our signs, and I'm getting an official park host resides here sign made for that spot. I don't know, it's the most convenient way to do it. There is no sewer line out there. All we have in that park is that vault toilet. So where else would we do it? We're not going to make somebody come in with their RV and then they have to take it somewhere to dump all of the time. That it just
Well,
is.
to answer, I don't mean to interrupt, but to answer Danielle's question, the reason why it was set there, Danielle, is because our sewer and our water lines and our power utilities are all right there. To set them up elsewhere, it would cost money we don't have, which means we're going to have to run power lines underground, water lines underground, and sewer lines underground, where right there, everything is accessible.
I just think that perhaps we might revisit how it is set up, maybe near the toilets, look at how much it might cost to run it out a little bit rather than right there up next to the toilets. They're not okay with it. And this whole last week has been a huge example of they weren't communicated to. There was a random RV park next to the RVs or next to the toilets. They called the sheriff on this person because they didn't know who it was. They were very concerned. I mean, there's discussions all over town about this person that's there, and I feel bad because this person's been harassed by the police now.
Just to be fair, all of the calls that I've gotten here from people in the sports park reporting an RV when they found out it was a park host, they were excited about it. I did not have anybody complain. They all were like, thank you for getting somebody in here. So just for the opposite side, the calls that I've gotten have all been positive.
Those are the ones that count.
So only people who agree with your opinion count.
Only people that make official complaints or concerns to City Hall in writing, maybe even better, like an email to either any of us, which we never get. Maybe that might, as opposed to Facebook musings, adds a little more legitimacy to concerns that people have about baby rapers next to the vault toilets.
I personally find that personal phone calls from my constituents calling their elected representative to be legitimate complaints, whether they call Jessica personally or not, because that's my job in these meetings, is to bring up citizen concerns. When they give me a call or when they talk to me in the grocery store, they have every right to talk to their elected representatives and let us know how they feel about upcoming issues.
And it'd be much more helpful if they absolutely make it official by email too, to City Hall, to all of us.
So maybe a solution here is that we proceed with our temporary setup. We are going to be getting more grant money next year. Maybe at that time we revisit a more permanent structure somewhere that's better designed. Maybe we can just go ahead and down this path, and as we're doing it, because this is all new territory for all of us, maybe we can find a better solution as we go. Maybe it turns out that we really need the park host over by the Little League fields because that's where most of the problems happen. Or maybe they need to be in the beach park, but maybe we start where we are and we work from there.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. And again, the economics are a big part of why we're moving on this. We simply don't have the budget room right now. And I think with a park host sign, that will completely change how people see it. They are used to seeing park hosts in mountain campgrounds. They get what a park host does. So that'll keep you busy there, Jessica. Look for some more funding for a park host. Any other comments? Any other feedback any counselors have received?
My only other personal concern on this is whether or not we've checked with the lawyer as far as, because right now, the state of Oregon has eviction moratoriums going on. Technically, this is going to be a place where somebody lives. And have we checked with our lawyer about if an eviction moratorium is in place and their contract comes up, can we say, hey, your contract's up, you're gone? Or is this a living contract? Is this more like a lease of who's going to live there? Because I would like legal clarification on that.
That is a very good point. I will check into that and find out the answer.
I would think that since they're not paying rent or paying anything for staying there, that it can't be construed as a rental or lease situation. And like Brad said, this is done at parks all over the state.
Right, and I'm just
By
asking for
counties and
clarification.
state and, okay.
Yeah, I don't want to assume anything. I will check just to make sure. It's probably, like you said, it'll be fine, but I will check on that.
Good. Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Wilson,
Yes.
Counselor Palmer,
Yes.
Counselor Rigney,
Yes.
Counselor Ginaw,
Yes.
Counselor Hinckley,
Yes.
Counselor Bouchard.
Yes,
All right, resolution passes.
Very good. We'll make it official that they can park their camp out in their trailer there. 7.4, first reading of ordinance 2102, amending Title 9 to establish camping rights for the park host. Jessica.
So what I did here was I took the ordinance that outlaws camping in the parks and I added in some language that puts the park host as an exception to the rule. I'll read it to you, and then if you have any modifications to it, we can work on that. And if not, this will count as the first reading. So this is an ordinance of the City of Gold Hill revising Chapter 9 to establish the park host position. Whereas the city has received recommendations relating to the language of Chapter 9 of the Municipal Code Title 9, Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare. And whereas the Gold Hill City Council as a body has discussed a public safety need to review, revise, and update Chapter 9 of Title 9 of the City of Gold Hill Municipal Code for the benefit of the community and for public safety. Now therefore, the Gold Hill City Council ordains the adoption and revision of Chapter 9, Title 9 of the City of Gold Hill Municipal Code as follows. Chapter 9.24, Public Conduct, Section 92410, Camping. No person, with the exception of the city's duly appointed park host, shall camp in or upon any sidewalk, street, alley, lane, public right-of-way, park, or other publicly owned property or under any bridge viaduct unless otherwise specifically authorized by this chapter or by declaration of the mayor in emergency circumstances. The park host does not have the authority to camp anywhere else listed in this section other than the permitted camp space provided by the city. That's it.
Okay. Conversation. Is there any language in there that we would like to take another look at? Are there any concerns with the ordinance in general?
Okay, well then,
My only concern is we might want to revisit this as a whole later on in a workshop, especially because of what was discussed in the previous workshop. I think that we need to possibly have the insurance and stuff just come in, look at our part or at our camping and stuff like that, and make sure that we're in compliance with current laws and current case law as far as the courts are concerned, because I see an issue with the no camping ordinance in general.
I felt the same way when I was reading this. It is way older than modern regulations.
Anything else?
Okay, if somebody wants to make a motion to approve that as the first reading, we'll go with that.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 21-02, an ordinance of the City of Gold Hill, Oregon, revising Chapter 9 of the Gold Hill Municipal Code to establish the park host position.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Counselor Bouchard,
Yes,
Counselor Ginaw,
Yes.
Counselor Hinckley,
Yes.
Counselor Palmer,
Yes.
Counselor Rigney,
Yes.
Counselor Wilson.
Yes.
All right.
Very good. And 7.5, the job description and contract for the park host position. Jessica.
So yeah, really all I want to talk about with this contract is the list of duties that this would require. So basically what's going to happen is once you've approved this, we're going to make the application public and we're going to accept applications for a position to begin on October 1st in the park, and thereafter every October of every year. Even if the person who's there, we want to keep them, they still have to reapply every single year. And within this contract is a list of the duties required by the park host. I was thinking about it this weekend after I wrote it, and it doesn't say anywhere in here about collecting fees. But is that something that we want to do, is have the park host be the person who collects the money out of the fee box on a regular basis? It seems like that would be part of their duties. And I didn't include that.
I think it should be a city employee.
I think it should be a city employee because it's money.
I think if we're gonna have the park host do it, we need to require them to at the very least be bonded.
Yeah.
Because they're not an employee.
Okay, well, good, then I'm glad I left it out. So we won't do that.
Well, as the loyal opposition, I think that it should be a function. It's not a big deal to get someone bonded. We need to be careful to protect the city with a host there, whether they're paid or not, regardless. At the end of the day, if we think of the sweet spot of when most people launch their boats, if it's 7 to 9 or something, to have that person there for 2 hours, we're going to be able to retrieve revenue that we're losing now because of ne'er-do-wells breaking in and stealing the money. I think this is a low-lying fruit that we should take advantage of when we've got a person there already.
Well, that is why I brought it up because, yeah, I mean, the RV is not that far from the fee boxes and it might help with some of the theft.
At that point, I would ask, sorry, go ahead, Janet.
I'm confused. So are you talking about somebody like going to get the money out of the fee box or having them actually stand there and collect the fees as people come in?
I'm confused too.
I'm thinking a lawn chair with an umbrella and sit there for 2 hours when most people come and launch their boats. It's not.
Yeah, I think that's asking a lot of a volunteer. That's
I was just thinking of somebody
volunteer.
taking the money out of the fee box that on a more regular basis. That's all.
It's,
I think that
You
it would
can't
be
get somebody
appropriate
that you're
to have
not
that
gonna
person
pay.
checking window tags. You know, if we're uncomfortable with
Right.
the money thing, there's no reason the park host can't be checking and verifying that the vehicles parked there do in fact have their tags. Then we don't have to worry about them touching money. Our guys can be the guys touching money and they can just be auditing the windshield tags.
Well, would you
I
like to
agree.
also give them authority to write tickets for people who don't have tags?
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean,
Okay.
that's kind of why we're keeping the record of it.
so are you going to specify when and how often they have to patrol to check tags?
yeah, that's a great idea. We probably should. So all I have in there now is conduct regular rounds, but if you want to define the regular rounds.
Maybe say a minimum of 4 times a day or something.
Yeah. So, and that's why I'm bringing this before you now. We still have plenty of time to work this out. That's why we wanted to get somebody temporary in there while we worked out all of the details, just so that we already have a presence. I've sent you all of this document in PDF form. If you want to print it out and add your own suggestions to it, or if you'd like, I can send you the Word version of it and you can mark it up however you want. But I want to hear your input because I want to know what you want the park host to do. What I started with was a generic list of duties, but this is the point where we nail it down. So,
Well, I think also we have to keep in mind while we're doing that, this is a volunteer position. Well, yes, they are getting rent free. That's actually not like it's not a salary. And they do still have to feed themselves and most likely have other obligations to do that. So they're probably not going to be wanting to work 9,
no,
10 hours.
that's not true. A lot of people who apply for this position, they're like living off of their Social Security. They don't have other jobs. And frankly, I don't want someone with another job. This is their job. Do we want to give them some kind of stipend in addition to the rent? I mean, I don't think so. If you look at most park host jobs, this is what you get. This is what you have to do in order to get that space. it's,
Yeah, but I think you need to be real specific about what and how much and when.
right. Well, that's what we're here for, to figure out what that is. If you'd like for the next
I would
meeting, I
think
can
that the
bring
park
back,
staff,
I can
I
bring
would-
back some examples of other parks and what they're getting in exchange for what they're giving, so that you can see what other parks are doing.
and maybe park staff would have some good input for us about, what would be the best.
What they would
kind of
like to see. Yeah,
control or
that makes
whatever.
sense.
Yeah.
Any other specific comments other than making the regular rounds a little more specific?
I personally didn't like, I think it was on this one, the restrictions on what they're doing in their own home. Again, this is their home. And like, I understand, hey, don't go out in the park in a bikini and, be like sunbathing in front of kids. But where it's talking about no drinking, things like that, once they're off duty, I'm not sure that I'm comfortable telling somebody they can't have a beer at the end of the day.
So it is not appropriate to consume alcohol outside of your RV?
And I could definitely go with that. It's not appropriate to be drinking in the park, which is general thing, but in your RV.
Okay,
Good point.
I think while we're on the subject of drinking, we should talk about who's going to be auditing this person. And because the whole point of this deal is having a presence in the park to keep the vandalism and the shenanigans down. So, if we have someone there and there's still a bunch of shenanigans going on, do we need to be kicking them out and finding someone else in there? Because it seems, that was the whole point of this, is just to have presence there to stop the nonsense that's going on. And so I don't know what was going on this morning, but I leave home at 5 o'clock. And even though the gate was up, there was still a car parked in front of the cable at the park this morning. So I'm not sure what was going on with that, but.
so we
Again-
have some people who do fishing in the park at 5 in the morning.
Okay, well, like I
And
said, I'm
that's
just
what we found
mentioning
out.
it because
We didn't know that until we put the cable up. So they were probably waiting for the cable to come down.
Okay.
But we did look into the code book, and our park hours have nothing to do with dawn to dusk, like as printed on signs.
like the
Our
fishing
code book
license and
actually
stuff.
says the park is closed from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. So that's why that's part of the park host duty, to open and close the gates at 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. So yeah, I think some kind of oversight, we could work something in there. Yeah. I'll look
There's
into
some
that.
kind of a termination clause in there, if they're not doing their job and we need to get rid of them. Is there something in there?
There's nothing in here about termination.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted clarification on is
Yeah.
if this person is an employee, a volunteer, or a renter, what law do they fall under?
Yeah. Okay,
Would
so I'll
this
put
be
something in
managed-
there about a termination clause and about how we're going to review them and determine if they need to be terminated. Okay,
Would this be appropriate to have the city manager review this on a routine basis, say monthly or something?
yeah, I would think so. I would think that would be who.
So if performance isn't up to expectations, they know about it and they have a month to improve and correct any deficiencies. We definitely need to have someone looking over the shoulder.
Okay, so in addition to parking tickets, would you like them to be able to enforce all of our park codes? I mean, that would make sense, right? That's what they're there for.
I think you're kind of pushing on the liability a little bit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not that I like to bring that up, but how much can they really enforce just being a park host? They're just kind of there to make noise and call the cops when there's a problem, or call in Tony, or call in someone else to deal with it.
That's true, but if we are going to have a code enforcement officer on staff, then that park host could call the staff and have the staff come write a ticket. And yeah,
Absolutely.
that makes sense.
And I think maybe just having them keep a logbook in general of incidents.
Oh, yeah, that's a
I
great
think
idea.
logbooks for all
Mhm.
employees are a good idea.
Yeah,
But I think especially for the park host, because there's going to be times it's 3 o'clock in the morning, somebody's out there being rowdy, they should be writing that incident down.
Yeah.
okay. Okay, I've got all of your input here. And again, you have a copy of the document. If you have any other to send to me, our next meeting is going to be on August 16th. We will have 2 meetings this month. So if you want to get it to me before then or bring it to me at the meeting, we'll go over this again at the next meeting on the 16th.
Good. Thanks, Jessica.
And if you had a chance to look at the application, I didn't change anything on there. It's, I put our logo on it. I think that's what I did with this one. Just experience and contact info. So there was a question on there. Will you have a pet with you? How do you feel about the park host having a pet? Is that acceptable? Is there a limit to pets? Something else to think about.
I think I'm
Well-
fine with that as long as they're required to use the dog park that is over there in the sports park and they're not just letting their pet poop all over by the vault toilets.
Yeah, and it needs to be, I mean, the law is, you know, they need to be on a leash. They can't just let their dog run around the park because they live there. The dog has to be in the dog park, in their unit, or on a leash,
Okay, so it sounds like you're fine with them having a pet.
as long as they control it.
And if we're looking for a retiree, I think a lot of retirees have pets, so.
All right, well then, that's all I have on this for now. We'll come back to it again on the 16th.
Very good.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Jessica. It's a lot of work.
Okay, item 8, reports from counselors. Anyone give us a report on activity you've been doing on behalf of the city?
The city has been putting together an informational Facebook page with pictures. We're going to be putting up native versus invasive plants and fall activities to get ready for the spring. We're also looking at potentially adding like a gardening club section to it for people who might not necessarily be interested in pollinators, but want to highlight plants that are native to our area.
Good.
Good. And Brad, I'd like to expedite possibly a little bit my introduction to the our principals along the lines where Daniela was just talking about our little beach and sports park renovation. I talked to 3 children that came by my property and were throwing rocks in the river. And they were Canby and Patrick students, and I told them a little bit about what we had in mind, and they were absolutely jazzed. So I think we're probably off to a pretty good start right there.
So again, for a backgrounder, Councilor Rigney faces the river. It's been a big issue for him. He has a significant fire risk of the blackberries and all the fuel on river level, starting a fire and racing up toward the town. So he's been thinking through how we can create a practice that kind of is self-perpetuating as far as beach cleanup involving volunteers, and especially tying in the 2 schools and creating programs for them to do field trips and really use it as a field resource to augment their education. So we're going to be meeting here soon with the principals to bounce the idea off them and see if we can get some buy-in from them. And might be a couple of school cleanups that can be built in too. Again, sort of reinforcing the fact that they're part of the community, that this is a community that will be there when they're in their 20s and 30s and starting a family. And we want them to start buying into the idea of let's work together to make it what we want it to be.
Thanks, Brad. Also would be tie-ins, of course, with Parks and excuse me, Parks and Beaches Commission, and also Can Do, and all our other anybody that wants to get in on this. We'd like to be, continue it on and on.
Yeah, Richard Hart and his group with the park cleanup team, it's right up their alley, of course, and would be coordinating closely with them and trying to partner with the Parks Committee as it's obviously front and center in what they're going to be doing. Anyone else?
So I'm continuing to attend RV Act, Rogue Valley Area Council on Transportation, representing the city. Eric, you're the alternate. Anyway, there's just lots of talk at those meetings about, funding for infrastructure and including things like parks and stuff like that too. So stay tuned. I'm looking for every opportunity I can pick up from those meetings of things that we can do to improve things. Eric, I'm actually not going to be able to make it to the September meeting. I don't know if you're available the second Tuesday in September to go to attend that meeting. It's still on Zoom.
Good. So the two of you, we appreciate your work on that. Of course, maintaining a presence and improving a relationship with the transportation folks, very, very important. Maybe you can share the what we just generated in terms of our letter with them at your next meeting to highlight.
Definitely going to those people.
Good. To highlight to them that there are safety concerns and it's a real public nuisance right now.
Well, they're the people that asked for the letter. So, but yeah.
Oh, they are. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Well, then they'll be glad to see that we followed up on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, with a state highway going through being our main street in town, super important that we optimize that relation with the transportation people. And I think we're in an environment where we're going to have more public funds than probably any time in the last 25 years. So now's the time to sharpen our pitch. Good work. Anyone else? Janet, what are you hearing from downtown?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Department reports.
Not much to report. Shannon just completed the Cross Connect. I couldn't think of the word connect. Cross Connect specialist training and passed the test. And he still has a couple of other things to do, but we're one step closer to getting him some certifications that the city needs. So,
And what's the gist of what a Cross Connect specialist does?
honestly, I have no idea. It's something to do with water.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's training in taking on more of the water functions.
Yes, he's been working on that. He's in several courses right now and working with Mike Bolwig. Anytime there's any project going on with water, Shannon goes over to check it out so he can get the training. Because everything that he can do that we don't have to call in somebody else saves the city money.
It saves us about 75% per hour. So this is a great, another area where Jessica's been working hard to identify cost saving and revenue generating areas. And that will go a long ways. Again, police, water and wastewater, almost 40% of our budget. We work smarter there. It's going to help us a lot.
Jessica, can I ask for I'm not sure which department this would be, but I know that in the budget committee this year, we allotted money for tree trimming. Where are we in that process? Are we having them assessed by arborists? Are we still plotting them on maps? Where?
Yeah, we've still been collecting them. As you know, one of the trees fell. So I just had the other one removed. You may have seen it leaning. It was leaning pretty bad. So yeah, as far as I know, I think we've got the list complete now. So we should be.
What about the tree that's on private property leaning over the Hanby playground building?
Yeah, that's the one I'm.
Is that on the list?
Sort of, but not really, because the arborist who looked at it said it was fine and that it's not going to fall over. But the city's attorney reached out to me and said that he had a survey that showed it was actually on our property. And I said, well, great, show me that survey, but he hasn't gotten back to me with that. All I have at this point is a report from an arborist who inspected it and said, yes, it does look terrible, but the odds are it's probably going to just die before it falls. So that's where we are with that one.
We pay an arborist for, I guess.
Good of order. Anything that anyone would like to address?
I'm really gratified to see that the people, our citizens, Can Do Carol, and everybody's coming up with all these great ideas for these little get-togethers and shindigs and things that we should have been doing.
Yes, our community wants to come together and return to more of normalcy and nothing like them offering programs to reinforce how important this is.
I would like to say that as we go back to normal, us working people need to remember there are still retirees in our communities. There are still disabled people in our communities. And just because we go back to normal doesn't mean necessarily that they do. We should continue to check on our neighbors. We should continue to be good citizens and good members of the community. So give them a call, knock on the door, make sure they don't need anything.
Good. Okay. Good work, team. This meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, all.